Welcome back to Zach's Garage, everybody. It has been quite a while, but we are finally back with a fresh new video. And let me tell you, we got some exciting stuff going on, so don't go anywhere. Let's get right into it. So first, to bring you up to speed with our Bayliner boat restoration. A few things have happened. I actually gave away the old boat seats. It's kind of bad on the edge.
Oh,
like right
yeah,
there.
That's not a problem. Yeah, it was 1 degree when we left yesterday morning. So after I get some gas, have a good one.
Safe travels?
Yeah.
And afterwards, we finally cut up and got rid of the old seat boxes too. Woo! Look at that. Still hanging on by a little bit. There it goes. Something else I did on the boat was tighten up the rocker arms on the engine. Over time running it, I noticed there started to be a little bit of a squeak whenever the engine was running. And come to find out, some of those rods were a little bit loose, so I tightened down those rocker arms, and sure enough, the squeak on the engine went away. I also got a new steering wheel installed on the boat. But enough about that, now it's time to get to what you came here for. My new, old project. This is my 1995 SeaDoo XP. So to give you a little bit of background info, I actually bought the SeaDoo 1 year before I even bought the Bayliner boat. So the SeaDoo was technically my first restoration project. But unlike the Bayliner, the SeaDoo didn't have any rotten deck or rotten stringers or rotten transom, mainly because there was no wood used in the construction of the SeaDoo, thank God. So structurally, it was perfectly fine. The only issue was that the engine wouldn't run. So, optimistic me just figured surely rebuilding the carburetors and a new battery and a fresh set of spark plugs was all it would take. Long story short, after well over a month of troubleshooting, the actual issue ended up being the gear teeth were stripped on this brass gear that goes on the rotary intake valve. Luckily, I was able to buy a new gear on Amazon, get it installed, and finally I was able to get the darn thing to run good. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Zach's Garage. We're here with our 1995 SeaDoo XP, and we finally got the darn thing running. And now it's time to give it a little TLC with some of the 23-year-old original pieces on here. I'm going to start with the seat cover. You can just see how faded and old it is. If I move this over, you can see the original color and how much it's faded next to it. The next thing is going to be these traction mats. You can see just how old and sort of coming apart they're starting to get, and especially up in the foot wheels over here, you could really see a lot of dirt and just gunk getting stuck in there. Then the next thing is these handlebar grips are old and yucky, and the handlebar cover is just really old and yucky, discolored. Then our lanyard is just old. So today is the day that we're finally gonna replace some of this stuff and get it looking a little nicer. So come on over here and let me show you what we've got in store for today. Now, I won't make you sit through all of my old footage, but I just wanted to share some of it. I will say some of the new upgrades that made a huge difference on it was definitely replacing those traction mats as well as the vinyl for the seat. I'm sure some of you would like to see some footage of us on the jet ski riding it, but unfortunately we never actually got any. This picture of me on it was all we got. But I will say we had a ton of fun riding the thing. Now you might be wondering if that's where the story ends. But of course not. I mean, we had a lot of fun riding that thing for 2 summers in a row. But then we got the Bayliner boat. and you all know how much time that took. Well over a year of work on it, and somewhere down the line, through the middle of working on the Bayliner, one of the times when I went to try and start up the SeaDoo, it would no longer start, and it was completely seized up. So of course I took it all apart again, and I figured it would be that brass gear again, but boy was I wrong about that hunch. Well, as I took the rotary cover off, the valve was in perfect condition, but the engine was still seized up, so I thought maybe before splitting the case to check things out, I would get the starter off. But then I was going to see if the starter was engaged, and if you see over here, I should be able to see in the magneto casing that starter. Well, I started taking these bolts off, and as soon as I got them loosened up, rusted water just started pouring out of the magneto casing. That is not good. Not good at all. And the further I got and the more things I took off the engine, the worse it just seemed to get. Till finally, I found out what was causing it to be seized up. So this right here was the cover to the ball bearing right here on the front of the engine, the magneto side. If you look in there, you can see the balls, and they are rusted as could be. That's what was clogging it up right there. So that bearing definitely needs to be replaced. But what I'm still wondering is how water was getting in here. Because I mean, I can fix that, but what's going to stop water from getting back in there in the future? Not only were the bearing balls rusted up and a few fell out, the outside of the bearing shell was cracked, and worse than that, the second bearing on here was also cracked, and both of them you can't spin at all. Some of the other bearings that are in good shape you can spin easy peasy, no problem, but these last two, no luck at all. So I thought maybe I could replace the last one, but both of these I don't know about. And to make matters worse, I don't show it on camera, but there's also multiple sheared bolts in the head of the engine. The temperature sensor is sheared off. There's a chip that is in one of the pistons. The list of things to fix is just huge at this point. And around this time is when I start thinking maybe it's time to stop trying to bring Frankenstein back to life, and that maybe it's just time to buy a new engine. And lo and behold, you can find them for $750 remanufactured or refurbished, which isn't too bad. But there's one problem with this. It does not come with that magneto casing, and if you remember, mine doesn't look in too great of condition. But that can be fixed too, because you can buy one of those on eBay as well. But with how much time and money I'm about to have to put into replacing this engine, I thought to myself, maybe I could pursue an alternative, like electricity. After months of research into electric motors and batteries, I finally decided to make the SeaDoo electric. The Bayliner boat might have been my biggest project, but this electric SeaDoo is definitely going to be the craziest. I have never done anything like this before, and this project isn't finished yet, and I'll be making a ton of videos with more details, but for today, I wanted to give you a little taste of what's to come. So first, we turn on the car. Then we hear that contactor click and engage, and now we can take our throttle and begin to go. Let me tell you, don't want to do it too much that bearing seal that's on the drive shaft gets a little hot if you're not in the water cooling it. But oh man, let me tell you, it's something else.